Coming up on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota and Bet365. How sweep it is. It was Boyd on the mound, PCA at the plate, and dare I say the Cubs bullpen is elite. CHGO Cubs next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs podcast, driven by Toyota, Let's Go Places, and Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Use the code CHGO365 at signup. That is a series sweep over the lowly Colorado Rockies, who are now 9-47 on the season. But it doesn't matter who you're playing. You just got to beat them, and we will take it. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Del Mendo, Kevin Wells in on a Wednesday night, Sarah running the ones and twos.
We've been here.
And we've been here all night.
You missed the watch along.
If you were here, you would have been on the watch along here on the new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel, which please subscribe, like, and tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a total stranger.
Oh,
we don't care.
Well done.
I believe the Rockies still have not won a series
Since September of last year.
Yeah.
They've lost 22 straight series.
So it's a good thing you swept them, and it's a good thing you found a way to win another one-run game tonight because they are bad. They've won 3 games on the road this year. 3 and something
They've
like
won
that.
9 games total, brother.
Yeah.
It's the same thing I said before the Sox series. I don't usually say you have to sweep a team because baseball is a funny sport and it doesn't always happen. But when you're playing minor league franchises like the White Sox and Rockies this year, you got to sweep them.
Well,
and they did it. They didn't dominate. They didn't dominate the Rockies. They had 3 games decided by like 4 runs. It was a way closer series than you'd like it to be. But that is a team that's on pace to lose 136 games.
Yeah.
136 games. You better sweep them. I don't care how depleted you are. You better sweep them. Now, one thing that happened, I said how close the series were. We could talk about the reasons for that. I think one of the biggest things is Wrigley played into the hands of the Rockies here. The wind was blowing in all 3 games. So the Cubs, who have been hitting home runs, the playing field was even because nobody could hardly hit the ball out of the ballpark, right? It was very difficult to hit the ball out of the ballpark. So it takes the high scoring out, and it makes pitchers who aren't as good a little bit better. And then the Cubs offense did the small things they need to do to win on days just like this, something that they have not done in the past. Last year, they never would have done it. The stolen bases, right? It was 6 last night. Shaw steals another base tonight. Moving the guys over, getting runs in. We'll talk about the bullpen later, but I just appreciate the fact that on a night when the wind's blowing in and the offense isn't great, I mean, the Cubs offense was held to 9 runs in the series. They still won all
rare.
3.
Yeah. Ricky in the chat says the headline says Cubs dominate. And it's like, I guess you can say maybe they didn't
3.
because they were 1-run games.
A sweep is a sweep.
But a sweep is a sweep.
A sweep is a sweep.
When you look back and count it, it's 3 wins for one and
we're not
0
going to
for the
remember
other.
the score. We're going to remember that we sweep the Rockies.
Yeah.
Thank you.
First of all.
That is true.
And I think I said this in the 9th inning during the watch along. It's like you need your offense isn't going to score 6, 7, 8 runs every single night. And I think we talked a lot about what I'm about to say last year when it came to a lot of the reasons they lost. Last year, I felt like if it wasn't the bullpen one day, it was the offense just decided to get no hits. And as great as the rotation was last year, they'd have an off day and, maybe the offense shows up, but then the bullpen blows it. It was like one thing after another. There was always a but when things went wrong. This year, this week, should you score more runs against the Rockies? I think so, yes. Even if the wind is blowing in. The way that this offense is hit against some of the best teams in baseball, yes. Am I concerned? No, it's 3 games, whatever. Baseball is baseball. They played the White Sox just 2 weeks ago, and I think they have better pitchers than the Rockies do, and the Cubs scored a bunch of runs off them. So I don't understand. But the point is that you won all 3 games, and like Luke said, you did the little things. You had your star shine tonight, and your star his name is Pete Crow-Armstrong. 15 homers, 15 stolen bases. The only player in Major League Baseball to do that at this point in the year. He now has 50 RBIs with Seiya Suzuki, the only 2 players in baseball, I believe, at this point who have 50-plus RBIs. Yeah, you had the little things, but stars shine when you need stars to shine, and Pete Crow-Armstrong is a star. And that's what to me, that's what this series came down to, is just the Cubs are just better than the Rockies in all facets of everything. And most teams in baseball can say that. Not most, all teams. Even the White Sox are better than the Rockies.
And potentially a couple AAA teams.
The only other guy with 50 RBIs in baseball is Devers. So
did Devers get to 50
Devers
tonight?
got to 50 tonight too. So say
that doesn't fit my narrative anymore. So.
But you're right. I mean, Pete gave you the game-winning run tonight. Golfed a solo shot out of here. He continues to just show everybody that he's not just a one-trick pony. He's not just a fielder. I mean, the kid can hit, man. Mm-hmm. And he gave you the big bounce when you needed it. But for me, I mean, the story's Matthew Boyd tonight again, man. Leads the team, his 7th quality start of the year. And we're not even in June yet. 7 quality starts for Matthew Boyd. Yeah. What a signing by Jed Hoyer, man.
Big time.
Bounce back.
What a signing. I mean, Matthew Boyd has been awesome. He's given the Cubs a chance to win every single game he's gone out there, with the exception of, I think he had one start against the Dodgers where I think he gave up 5 or 6 runs. But other than that, he's been flat out outstanding.
Yeah, he how do I say this? He couldn't go deep on Friday. He had a very terrible first inning, some BABIP luck that went against him in that first inning against the Reds, but then was able to not allow any more runs moving forward, and then the Cubs offense took over in that game.
Come back. But prior to that game, it was 3 straight quality starts, 3 straight 6-inning games. Mm-hmm. Then he goes 4 against the Reds, 8 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, so no quality start there. But then in the month of April, same thing, 3 more quality starts there. So team leading 7 quality starts for Boyd, counting tonight.
He's made 5 starts in his Cubs career at Wrigley Field. He's won all 5 games. He's been everything and more than what you asked of. Cody and I did a podcast in the offseason talking about, okay, if Jed says players need to exceed projections, who are the guys that are the most likely to do it or have the most room to really exceed projections? He was one of them, because we said, hey, the talent's there. If he's healthy, I could see him having a really good season. I don't want to get out the reality spray because I didn't get here, but as my mind, now they're 14 games over 500 and 3 games ahead of the Cardinals who won again tonight. You start thinking about, listen, this team, they're going to make some adjustments, and this team should be good enough to get you into the postseason this year. Heck, they're on pace to win 100 games this year, which would be only 2016 is the only time they've done it. So
what happened that year?
I believe the Cubs won the World Series that year. So... But you're looking at this team and you're saying, okay, they are exceeding projections. Boyd is a guy who's doing it big time. If you're looking at a playoff series and you want to talk about, let's say Shota's back and as good as ever, and he's your ace because Steele is out, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Shota, Boyd, and somebody they add. You feel pretty good about that going, remember the Dodgers are Dodgers and some other teams have some absolute studs as pitchers. Yes. I still, more and more, I'm getting confident in Matthew Boyd as, man, if he could be our number 2 or number 3. What if he's our number 3? I feel really good about that. What if Tyone's the guy that you have to use in a series as the 4th starter? I feel good about that too. I don't know who the person is that they're going to add, but I hope it's a really high-end one.
That's what it's going to need to be.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you see how it goes. And some of those other guys that are pitching well, the Cade Hortons of the world, can go down and make a big impact in a bullpen that has been spectacular. We'll get to the bullpen in a second, but I agree. Boyd, of all this, Jed Hoyer gets credit for some really good signings.
Yes, he does.
At this point in the season,
the pitching,
there was a lot of question marks about Jed Hoyer, where a lot of people said hot seat, but right now he's made a lot of signings that were under the radar signings that now you're looking at going, wow, what a signing he was.
Yeah. I mean, when they signed Boyd, it was the beginning of the offseason. I think they had only added Eli Morgan before they had signed him. And with how things have been going the last handful of years, the reaction to signing Matthew Boyd wasn't exactly like ecstatic about it. If you go listen to our reaction to it, I think I said something. I want to say I said something along the lines of, I like the signing, but the only thing that gives me fear is the injury history that he has. And so that's still my fear. He's been awesome, but how will his arm be in September, considering he's going to surpass any large amount, any amount of innings he's pitched in the last 4 years?
It's funny. I heard Ian Happ today talking about Horton in particular, how we've said, at what point are they going to have to scale Horton back because of numbers? And Horton said, well, it's kind of interesting. I leave that up to other people, but the data does not support, this is Happ's word, he's like, the data doesn't support that restricting a guy's innings makes it less likely for him to get hurt. It just doesn't. It's like teams are doing it. They still believe it because it makes sense. And we may go that way, but like there isn't data that says, oh, you restricted him, he didn't get hurt the next year. Pitchers just get hurt. That's a fact. Like,
I mean, your elbow.
They're throwing way harder than they ever have.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like Matt Boyd's out there throwing 98.
No, but it's just not a natural thing for your arm to be.
You're not supposed to be snapping your elbow.
Oh,
and your
Dan Plesac used to sit next to me and show me he couldn't even straighten his arm after an 18-year career. Today, he can't straighten his arm.
Yeah.
Listen, the Cade Horton thing is interesting to me because he's been good and he had his best start yesterday, and it's going to be – they're going to need him to be even better, let's face it. I mean, he beat the Rockies. Like, that's great. I'm glad that he had his first career quality start yesterday, and I'm glad he pitched well. But quite frankly, where the Cubs are and where they're going to be for the next month before they make a significant acquisition, they're going to need to continue to get starts like this from Matthew Boyd and Cade Horton alike. Yeah. Cade Horton's going to need to go 5-6 against a good team eventually here. When the Cubs play the Tigers in a week, they play the Phillies in a week. Cade's going to have to play offenses and first-place teams. Both those teams are in first place right now. They've kind of been beneficiary to the schedule, and that's how it shakes out. You started out really strong. You kind of get a little lull point here. You got to weather the storm for another 2-3 weeks before you get Shota back. Mm-hmm. And that's because the market hasn't heated up yet for the starting pitcher. Mm-hmm. And truth be told, both these guys have instilled a lot of confidence in me, and they both show you why, they show you why Cade Horton is such a highly touted prospect. I mean, his fastball yesterday was just disgusting. He was pinpoint accuracy on inside fastball, working a couple different pitches. And Boyd tonight, the changeup was outstanding. The changeup command
really good.
Had a ton of swing and miss on. So, yeah, you did what you needed to do in this series. You got really good starting pitching. The offense took a step back. But truth be told, it's like Cody said, it's not concerning that it's baseball. You're going to go through. The Rockies showed some pretty good relievers in this series. So,
a couple I wouldn't mind exploring if the need be. Cubs have won 12 out of 15.
That's good.
They're rolling along, 14 games over 500.
And the stretch of games that we all talked about after the toughest schedule in all of baseball, the Cubs have I would say the Cubs have exceeded what I had hoped, just based off I felt like this team was going to eventually have some form of a letdown. Maybe they didn't deserve to win the Red Series, but they actually kind of earned it in many ways based off the comebacks they had. But you go back to the beginning of this stretch of games we talked about. You won 2 out of 3 against the Marlins. You swept the White Sox. You won 2 out of 3 against the Marlins. You won 2 out of 3 against the Reds. You sweep the Rockies. You got the Reds coming this week and got the Nationals next week. They haven't lost a series.
How many series?
And I feel like in the recent years when we talk about, you got the soft schedule, you got to take advantage of it. The Cubs are doing more than just taking advantage of it.
Well, they're getting great offense, and it's a relentless offense. That's the identity of this team. I said it on Sunday, and you saw it yesterday too in the walk-off win. They go down 3-2. There's no panic. You know, you have the best base runner in the game on second base who takes third, completely changes the defensive alignment, allows Bush to slap one through the left side and score a run. PCA does everything you needed to, and we're going to get to him. We're going to talk about his home run tonight. He does everything on the margins that you need him to do. But this offense is so elite that when they have bad nights like this and you're getting great starting pitching, it's like, where has this Cubs team been for the last 10 years? I mean, we've been waiting on a team like this to pick each other up, and it just seems like there's not a guy in the lineup right now that can go through a cold streak and harm the offensive production. And I think that's what makes them so dangerous. Is Dansby has been hitting, but even when he wasn't hitting, they're still winning games. Like Matt Shaw comes up, he's hitting now, but when he was the 9-hitter before they sent him down, he wasn't hitting. They were still winning games. Yeah. I mean, that's really hard to do in the major league game, right? Having 9 guys who are consistently on base and hitting the ball. I mean, it's a special offense right now, and even when they're not hitting like nights like tonight, you're exceeding projections with starting pitching in the bullpen.
Want to talk about Shaw after the break? Want to talk about the bullpen after the break? And an amazing Pete Crow-Armstrong stat that I saw. Let us know what your favorite part of this series sweep was in the live YouTube chat. But first, a word from our sponsors. Hey, baseball fans, if you're thinking about upgrading your drive this season, Toyota's 2025 lineup is definitely worth a look. First up, there's the RAV4. It's versatile, reliable, and always ready for a little adventure. Then there's the Grand Highlander. Plenty of room, super comfortable, great for families and long road trips. Looking for efficiency? The Corolla's got you covered. Smart, stylish, and easy on gas. And if you need something a little bit tougher, the Tacoma brings serious durability, whether you're on the road or off the beaten path. And finally, the Camry. What else can you say? Sleek, fun to drive, and packed with performance. You can check out the full lineup at Toyota.com or stop by your local Chicagoland dealership. Toyota, let's go places. What a time to be alive. What a time to sign up and be a CHGO diehard. The start of our summer intro offer sale right now, $36 for a full year. That's incredible, folks. Get access to our exclusive written content, a free t-shirt included, plus discounts on future merch and events, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge where we all hang out and talk Chicago sports and more. Go to allchgo.com for the latest information on how you can join the thousands of CHGO diehards and sickos already in our community. We can't wait to connect with you on an even greater level. Don't forget, you also get that great diehard card. $36 right now. And just like your favorite team needs a home court, home field, home ice advantage, your home needs a home flooring advantage. Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We've all seen those big box stores, right? You wander the aisles endlessly staring at their neon lights. The big box stores might have a flooring department, but the person helping you with the flooring might have been selling sinks and toilets the day before, and they might be stocking light bulbs tomorrow. You don't want that. Empire is the best for your new floors. Pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space. See how it looks in your room with your furniture. Get precise measurements taken. Have all your questions answered. There's no surprises. And with Empire Today, you get upfront, clear, and precise all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule that installation as soon as the next day. So schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are better at home. CHGO listeners get $350 off. All you have to do is use our promo code CHGO. You heard me right. A $350 discount just for typing in the code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/CHGO for full details. Cody Del Mendo is here. It's time for the celebratory beer Bat Chug. Cody does it after every win. He begins with a dedication. We put our times in there for predictions. I see our guy Ron has chimed in. Cam is going for 999. Cubs at CHGO Cubs going for 999.
Can he beat my beer Bat
right.
Chug
I don't remember what
Yeah, you did one
at the watch along. You did one, and what did we decide? It was like 8 or 9.
It was like an 8.
It was below 9.
It was
Yeah,
below
it was like
sub
8.
9.
Yeah,
A sub 9. 10.25 is considered
I'm
a quality
interested.
beer Bat Chug.
Well,
Steven is calling for 10.12.
In my defense here, this will be day 6 of drinking for me now because I drink all Memorial Day weekend.
How do you know it's not day 6 for Kevin?
Come on. You don't think I had a beer on Memorial Day weekend? Come
Well,
on.
I know that you
Maybe
had
a
to
few
work
beers.
this morning pretty early.
Well, maybe I
That's
had a
right.
beer before work.
Patrick is
No, I
calling
did
for a
after work.
9-6.
I did not drink this. I did not drink today. I did have a beer bet, but that would have been.
Barb's calling
Yeah, it
for
would have been
9-7.
something like that. I don't know.
Vanilla chill, 8.
Here we go. I'm gonna go 9
9-5-6
flat.
Christian.
9 flat. All right.
I'm going to
Nice
go,
of
actually, because it's day 6, I'm going to predict 11.
Nice. I appreciate your
Support.
your challenge.
Yes.
I'm looking at it as a challenge.
Okay.
Tonight's dedication, I think I'm going to give it to the bullpen because it was, Boyd gave up the 1 run. He could have given up more runs because there were a couple long flyouts, wind blowing in. Maybe he got lucky there in that last inning. But Brazier, Brad Keller, and Danny P, Daniel Palencia, shutting it down, 101 mile an hour, up, out of the zone, just throw it and try and hit it, and they did not hit it. Shut down the 9th inning. It's been fun watching Palencia kind of get these save opportunities. He's rebounded since that game in Miami last week where he blew the save when he had 2 outs in the 9th inning. 3 saves now since then. Bullpen's not perfect. Bullpen still, I still think they're going to need to go get some form of a high leverage guy to go with these guys and when Porter Hodge gets back. But like I said in the first segment, offense didn't really show up this series, but the pitching really stepped up.
Yes, it did.
So, yeah, I
That
think the bullpen
To the bullpen.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. That was the longest dedication I have ever heard.
Well,
He just did a whole segment by himself. Save something here now.
There is slander all the time about the bullpen, and I get it because it's deserving sometimes. And other
We're going
times
to
I
do the
don't
bullpen
think
right
it is.
after this. All right, here we go.
There we go.
When the beer hits his lips, we start the clock, and Cody Delmendo is underway.
I will say he has a really good point about Palencia, though.
Here we go. He's already through the barrel. He's down to the handle, and boom, I got him at 9.48. I underestimated him. I had him at 11. That is a sub 10 for sure.
Ooh, and
That's
a big
pretty
burp
close,
to
yeah.
go with it at
big
the
burp.
end there. Nice.
That is a celebratory.
For the
Bring it up again. We'll all
Both
vote
of you
on
guys
that
got
one.
under 10 seconds, though.
For
so
the-
Under 10.
quality beer chugs.
nice
Wait a
burp
minute.
for-
Wait a minute. What did Bootzilla call? 978? That's pretty close.
Hell of a name.
Wow. I had 948. Sarah had very close. Very close. Very nice.
I don't hate that dedication, though. I think Daniel Palencia, man, what a luxury he's been for Craig Counsell's pen.
He's definitely, you talk about exceeding projections.
Yeah.
He is exceeding projections, and he's just doing what I've always thought he could be. The last 2 years before this year, Daniel Palencia was like, this guy throws gas, but can he throw strikes though? Can he throw strikes? He's throwing strikes, and when he does get down in the count, he doesn't let it get to him. And before this year, I was feeling like this guy was Dylan Maples, bro.
No, you know who I thought he was going to be? Jeremiah Estrada. I thought you were going to see the wicked stuff and be like, oh, the potential's there. And then he slips away and he ends up figuring it out somewhere else.
Maybe
They stuck with this one.
and maybe that's why they gave him a little bit more runway. You could be right about that.
You know
Maybe
what I
they
mean?
looked
Like
at that. Yeah.
seeing Estrada with the Padres now, you're just like, oh, what if he was still part of this bullpen? But I know what you're saying about Dylan Maples, just electric stuff, and you watch it and you think,
Yep.
ooh, if he could just harness that. So my question is pretty obvious.
Mhm.
I think the job goes back to Hodge when Hodge is healthy. At the end of the season, who's going to be your closer? Is it going to be Hodge? Is it going to be Palencia, or they go out and spend to try and get another guy? Or is it someone like Brazier? I don't think it's Presley. I think we've all decided Presley might get an appearance in one of those situations because other guys have been used or somebody's banged up or whatever. But I don't think he's going to be I don't believe Presley's going to be your closer, your everyday closer again at the end of the season. I don't think that's happening.
Let's just put it this way. If Ryan Presley was going to be considered for that role, he'd be getting the opportunity tonight.
Yeah.
I think Craig has said, listen,
Just ain't getting it done.
You're not getting
In
it
that role,
done.
at least.
And
Sure, but it's a third of a season. You could see a guy all of a sudden building up, and if he has no runs for like a month, then you're going to say, well, maybe things have changed if there's more hit and miss. I don't think that's happening. Don't get me wrong.
No.
I think it's Hodge or Palencia. I don't think if they can have two homegrown guys throwing like this as potential closer, and if Brazier can come back and do some of the things that we hope he can do, maybe Tyson Miller, whoever. I'm just saying Horton might be part of the bullpen. There's a lot of guys that could be in the bullpen come playoff time when it gets here. So I think there's a possibility they don't really go get that high-end closer everybody's talking about.
Well, they're definitely going to need to go get another high-leverage reliever. Like that's
what contenders do.
That's what contenders do. And, I can sit here and dream a little bit about Mason Miller, but it's going to cost you a lot. Do I want to give that up for a closer? Probably not, unless
rather give it up for DeGrom or somebody.
If this starting rotation was healthy with Justin Steele in it, maybe. But I do think the starting rotation is probably more important than closer, considering what you're getting out of the bullpen. I don't know, man. Between Palencia and Hodge, I mean, Palencia has been pretty solid, dude. He's kind of taken the job.
But Hodge isn't going to – I don't think Hodge loses it because of the injury.
I don't think so.
He's still going to be a high-leverage reliever, and maybe in certain situations, if Palencia is thrown in 2 or 3 consecutive days and Hodge hasn't, then, maybe you throw Hodge out there for the 9th inning. But I feel like if you were going – at this point, especially with Hodge now going to be out for who knows how long, this is Daniel Palencia's job to lose.
What if Luke Little actually harnesses it and gets an opportunity?
He's another guy that I'm worried about. I hope he's had a really nice stretch at AAA though. Yeah. I believe he's second on the team in team ERA down there.
I mean, there's no pressure other than the self pressure to get back to the big leagues. It's not team pressure.
I want to be careful too about how we use the term closer because there's not a lot of teams that use closers anymore. It's high leverage reliever versus low leverage reliever. So I think that the Cubs have multiple high leverage relievers. They're going to need to go get more. I think that in terms of a list of hierarchy, though, I think that the majority of their prospect capital will be spent on the starting rotation. But let's say the A's want to make Mason Miller available. I'd give up a couple top 100 guys to get him because that's a guy you can potentially turn into a starter too. He's under club control. Sure, he's under club control. That's a different conversation for another year. But Mason Miller is an elite pitcher in the game of baseball that you can turn him from reliever into starter. You can stretch him out as one. So that's a long-term decision that I know would be a discussion they would have if they made a move that significant. But it's all going to be about who's available, right? I mean, that's the question everybody's asking. I see it in the chat. Like, who are the closers who are going to be available right now? The National League is so loaded. The Phillies need a closer because their closer's now out for 80 games. High leverage reliever. They're going to need a guy.
He can't pitch in the postseason,
right? So, and they're leading that division. I prefer not to get into a bidding war over a high leverage reliever.
Same.
I think the Cubs have shown, especially with their acquisitions and with their starting pitching depth, when you do get Imanaga back, when you do get Assad back this year, I think they've shown that they have enough depth in the pitching market to move guys to the pen that they will not need to go out and get into a bidding war. But starting rotation, I think that's a worthy investment.
Isn't it crazy, though, the whole bullpen thing? I know it's volatile and it's a roller coaster ride, and we might be mad in a month, but to look at the stat they put across the screen on Marquee that they have the Cubs bullpen has the lowest ERA in Major League Baseball. Do you know how many right? But like since that point, but do you know how many people have complained about the bullpen?
It's a nightly thing in this chat.
Of course, anytime they lose, some of the blame usually goes to the bullpen.
It was very bad to start the year. They addressed it, though. The walks were a huge problem. But then guys started to fall in their positions. And once Craig got a feel for who goes where and who's comfortable in certain situations and who can I trust, it felt like now we can sit up here and say, oh, I think this person's getting the ninth, and they get the ninth because everybody's kind of falling into place. They're falling into their roles. The team's they're gelling more. That's part of it too. It's a feel thing for pitchers.
Am I forgetting something? When's the last time the bullpen gave up a run? How many days has it been? I don't want to jinx anything,
Julian Merriweather was the last one,
right?
And that was the Marlins series, and he got DFA.
Like this game, it was Brazier, Keller, Palencia. We went Sunday, Monday. It was like you keep going back, and it's like, well, the starter went 6 and they got 3, or the starter went 5 and they got 4. Like, it's been pretty incredible.
I know we got to do a break, but Sarah, a comment from Luke. He just sent it. A's building for Vegas, give them cash and some low prospects for Miller, but Mason Miller is the reason people even go watch the A's, man. It's kind of like Paul Skeens go in the Pirates. You know what I mean? Like
the Pirates doubled down on their not trading Skeens, by the way.
Like I think the A's would. It's not like they'd be willing to take some low bar deal for Mason.
No,
Miller, you know what I mean?
Miller.
Like as bad of a organization as the A's are, their front office isn't that bad if they're able to find some of the talent that they've gotten in there as far as hitters. They have really good hitting prospects, but yeah, I just think that Mason Miller is going to cost you a lot just because of control and stuff like that.
Let's address Michael's live YouTube chat after the break, but first, a word from our sponsors, Cody.
Whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circus Sports Illinois. Circus Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circus Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, or in-game, Circus Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. We're in full swing in baseball season, NBA playoffs, and then obviously WNBA just started up. I'm betting Angel Reese rebounds every single game. There's football season's right around the corner, so there's so much to be betting on right now. All right, download the new bookie today at circusports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We've all been there. I know Cody's been there. Your parlay's one leg away, and then a relief pitcher gives up a walk-off bomb. Not in the Cubs bullpen. Does that sound familiar, though? It does to me. The HOF app, the Hall of Fame app, built to fix that. Started by 2 lifelong sports fans who also happen to be Ivy League grads. HOF makes parlay research smarter, faster, and data-driven. It's not your buddy's group chat full of hot takes. It's full of analytics. The HOF app gives you access to advanced stats, historical data, powerful tools to help you bet smarter. The app is built for the everyday sports fan, so it's easy to use and intuitive. You'll get an idea of your parlay's chances to hit. It'll identify the weak legs. You can weed them out before you place it, whether it's MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL, or college sports. The app gives you charts, clean visuals, and real insight, not hype. They believe anything the books know that you should know too. Because parlays don't have to be dumb. The HOF app, they aren't. It's got a 4.9 rating in the App Store, 6,000 5-star reviews. It's safe to say HOF has already helped out a lot of people and made them bet smarter. And our listeners, listen to this, 7-day free trial, 50% off your first month. You just have to download the app or visit hofbets.com and use the code CHGO at checkout. And maybe, even better than that, once you've built your parlay, you can set it straight to your sports book with one click. You don't need to manually enter it. No wasted time. The HOF app syncs automatically with most major sportsbook. For a limited time only, you get that 7-day free trial, and then you get 50% off the first full month when you use the code CHGO at checkout. Just download the HOF app on iOS and Android or visit hofbets.com. Enter the code CHGO, and you're all set.
I love Hall of Fame. It's a great app. It helps me win money.
I'm terrible at placing bets. It's helped me win money as well. I am glad that my sports book locked up and I couldn't place my bet tonight because I would have had the over and 3 runs were scored. So I actually saved money tonight.
Hell yeah.
Credit to me.
Credit to you.
Michael Thiel in the live YouTube chat, as we were talking about bullpens before the break, said bullpen in April doesn't matter. How it looks in July, September matters most. Playoff bullpens never look like they did in April, May. Well, now we're almost into June, and I agree it's changing, but that, as you were talking about adding to Mason Miller or somebody, I thought to myself, excuse me, all right, start thinking of names of guys that would be in the bullpen at the end of the season if you had perfect picture. This guy's playing well, this guy's playing well, starters added maybe. Okay. I could see Hodge in that bullpen. I could see Palencia in that bullpen.
That's 2.
I can see Presley in that bullpen. In fact, I like Presley between those two, a different type of pitch, a different type of look between two guys who throw really, really hard. I can see Brazier in that bullpen.
4.
That's 4. I can see Thielbart in that bullpen. 5. I could see Keller in that bullpen.
Definitely Keller.
6. Okay.
Ben Brown, 7.
I could see Ben Brown. I could see Horton.
Yeah.
Those are guys, the two pitch guys that you may say, oh, I don't know if they're a starter. Put them in for 1 inning and see what it looks like.
So who's
see
the
how
odd man out, though?
I'm just saying, like, we're starting to add them up, and that's why I'm looking at it going, listen, I know they have currency to spend, and we're going to want them to fix everything. And I'm not saying that at July's trade deadline, you're not going to look at it and go, they really need a big bullpen arm. They might.
Did you say Brad Keller?
I did say Keller.
Say Keller,
I did,
okay.
but I didn't say
Pomerantz.
I didn't say Pomerantz. I didn't say Flexen. I didn't say Assad if he were to come back. I didn't. You know what I mean? Like,
I think Flexen Flexen wouldn't be in the bullpen if Hodge and Assad were healthy. I don't think.
What if you go? But I mean, like Ben Brown could be a nice piece in the bullpen.
Yeah, no, and Cade Horton,
Cade Horton, look at the fastball you were just talking about.
We talked a lot about Cade Horton's innings, how many innings the Cubs want him to have this year. Yeah, this is my pushback on what you're saying. It's like and maybe you're not trying to say this specifically. You're saying, oh, you got a lot of dudes, and potentially you can put Brown and Horton in the bullpen. And this is all barring like if no other major injuries happen between now
Which pitchers,
and the deadline.
We know.
But what I don't want to happen, and I don't think this will happen before I say this, I don't think this will happen because I do think Jed thinks this team is actually good. But in 2023 at the deadline, when we were sitting here just trying to figure out, are they going to sell, are they going to buy this or that, are they going to sell Stroman and Bellinger, they decide to go ahead and go and get Candelario, and they went and got Jose Cuas. Oh, by the way, Nelson Velasquez was released today. And like they didn't
Rich Hill to Omaha.
They didn't go like all in, not necessarily all in, but they didn't do enough. And we saw the collapse that happened in September, right? Right now, the bullpen is rolling. And I love to see it because I feel like I spend way too much time defending it. But I don't think we can sit here and confidently say that we don't need to add some form of a reliever. I'm not saying that
I agree with that.
I'm not saying you sell the farm for Mason Miller. I'm just saying you gotta go get someone.
I would love Mason Miller on this Cubs team.
Well, I would also like to go get Chris Sale. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or Jacob deGrom.
You know what I mean?
How about both?
Like,
listen,
if the starting rotation wasn't in a situation where you weren't going to have Justin Steele for the rest of the season, I might be like, it would feel like, maybe this team is just a high leverage closer away, and you do what you did in 16 and go get a Aroldis Chapman and give away Gleyber Torres. But I do think the rotation is more important as we sit here today because, I'm high on Ben Brown. I'm still a believer. Everyone is slandering him the last week because he was terrible against the Marlins. He's terrible against the Reds. And I'm still like, he's going to be in the rotation. And listen, if Justin Steele was healthy and other guys were healthy, he would probably be in the bullpen, or he'd be in Iowa, whatever. So the situation is why he's here. But you have the situation with him. You don't know how many innings that the Cubs want Cade Horton to pitch, or at least we don't on the outside. If the Cubs are willing to go up to 120, maybe my concern with that isn't that big of a deal. But Boyd still coming off in it. He hasn't pitched over 100 innings in like 4 years, right? Shodi Imanaga is like the only guy that I'm like, this guy, once he's back, I feel good because this guy was a dog last year. He's not gonna have as many miles on the arm because of missing time with the hamstring. So he should be good going into late in the season, right? And Tyone, he's gonna eat innings for you. But I said on the watch along, I don't feel great about Jameson Tyone in a playoff game. I just don't. So, but to me, the rotation is the most important thing in July, and adding like some form of a number 1, number 2 starter, some guy. And if you got to send Owen Casey or Kevin Alcantara and James Triantos and a low A prospect that has potential, that
I think we're all on the same page though.
Yeah,
heading to June 1st, the most likely add at the trade deadline priority should be a starter,
or
the
two.
way it is right now.
Starter or two.
Yeah, especially because some of those guys, there might be another bat in there somewhere. I'm just saying, I agree that you're going to have to add something to the bullpen so that you don't burn out guys that are pitching well now, and you never know who's going to be healthy. I'm just saying there is a scenario where I don't think this is true in the starting rotation. There is a scenario where you get the trade deadline and you say, we don't necessarily need a top-end reliever. We need some arms to keep guys fresh, but we can use that currency to go get whoever that top starter might be out on the market. That might be such a priority that you can look at the other and say, we've developed some guys. Some guys have come along. We have some names in there, and I think this bullpen can get there. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it's a possibility. Right now, if I had to rank it, I would say starter, then bullpen, then bat.
Well, I think that's why Jed, and this is why the bigger trades take a longer to evolve, because one, teams want to contend, and you just need to get your horse in the race to win a World Series. We've seen the changes in getting more teams in. You obviously have bigger chances to win the World Series, so you just got to get in. But the other thing is you want to have a sample size big enough to look at your own team, look in the mirror and say, okay, our bullpen started out rough. We were walking a lot of guys. Then we went on a hot streak against some bad teams. This Cubs bullpen is going to slip again. They're going to give up runs again.
Of course.
And there's going to be injuries. So you want to have another month sample size in there to really show you, okay, here are the guys that I know I can count on that are going to be on this team for the stretch run. And here are the guys who just had a good week. Because right now there are a couple guys that might just be having a good week in that bullpen.
Yeah.
You playing the Rockies, the bullpen was
or a good
great.
month.
Right. The bullpen was great in this series. It was great tonight. Palencia has looked awesome the last couple weeks. Sample size still too small for me to be like, yeah, he's been awesome, and I think he's won the backup closer role to Hodge as of right now. But to give him or anoint him anything further than that, I'm not going to do.
You know who I think could actually impact this decision indirectly, big time, is Matt Shaw. Now, he's four hits. He's been great since he's come back. They've shown the stats back and forth about how he's returned, and he's been spectacular with the glove. He's been really good at the plate. The last 2 games, did he have 4 hits and 3 stolen bases? Great defense over at third. If that continues and the sample size gets bigger, you look at it and say, well, now our infield is set. I don't need to make any adjustments to third base, because there was a time when he was down at Iowa just a couple weeks ago where we looked and said, well, third base is up there as high as fixing that starter position.
Because of the offense, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so now if Matt Shaw can play like this, again, the need for that slides down the list and you start to move some other things back up to the top of the list. But I don't think there's any question in my eye that no matter what happens when you get to July, I believe that frontline starter, because of Steele and all the other question marks, will almost certainly be where they have to spend most of their currency.
Michael in the chat said that I was hating on Tyone. I'm not hating on Tyone. I just haven't forgot the fact that he had one of the best seasons of his career with the Yankees, and then the Yankees they refused to use him in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure.
Michael also
I just
saying,
think he's a fine 3-4 starter. If Justin Steele was on this team and rolling with Shota to go with what Boyd's doing, like, I wouldn't be sitting here saying you need to go get a big time starter. I wouldn't be saying that. I would say you probably need to add depth. I think in our watch along, someone made a joke about, maybe Max Scherzer is this year's Dan Herron, because in 2015 the Cubs at the deadline went and got Dan Herron.
He gave away a catcher that was productive in that deal.
But I would be more like that if Justin Steele was healthy, because Max Scherzer's at the end of his career. Could he still probably give you some really good innings in the postseason? Probably, because he's Max Scherzer. But because you don't have Justin Steele, it just feels like you're gonna need to do that. I feel like it would be malpractice if they don't do
Michael brought up a good name in there, somebody I've mentioned when we were chatting before the game started, and going out, Nathan Eovaldi, who's a 2-WAR pitcher this year. He's on a 3-year deal. I could see them inquiring the Rangers about Eovaldi, starting pitcher.
Yeah.
And
he's a guy I like too.
He's saying the Cubs would never trade Ben Brown. I disagree. If there's a really good pitcher out there, Ben Brown is not untouchable. If you're talking, if you want to go get a young, cost-controlled, top-of-the-line starting pitcher, I don't think that the Cubs would just shut the door on trading Ben Brown for that. I think
I don't necessarily think it would make sense for another team to give away a young pitcher for a young pitcher at the same time.
Well, you'd get more than Ben Brown for.
Right.
I'm talking Mason Miller, Paul Skeens-esque echelon.
And again, the Pirates said today, we're not trading. Come on, stop that.
Yeah, that would be the only thing that I feel like could happen, but that's not going to happen. So,
more conversation about that in a second. Tell us who you think the Cubs should be pursuing here as July comes closer. First, we got to get through June. But first, if you've ever tried to buy a home, get a loan, or just deal with money stuff in general, you know it can be a lot. That's why we have to tell you about the Rate app. It's seriously a game changer. You can get pre-approved for a mortgage in minutes without the need to jump through a million hoops. If you're thinking about a home equity loan or a personal loan, you can get one of those in under 15 days, and that can be a huge headache. The Rate app will also help you find the best homeowners and auto insurance based on what you actually need. The whole thing's powered by AI, so it's smart, and it saves you time and money. Now, here's the unexpected bonus. They've added over 800 free wellness videos, stuff like meditation, breathing exercises, stretching, basically tools to help you feel better mentally and physically. So if you're stressed out about a loan or your mortgage or about what the Cubs are going to do down the stretch, once that's covered, you can go hit one of their free wellness videos to just chill out. It's one app that helps you with both your wallet and your well-being. Download the Rate app today to get started. And we have a deal with them right now. It's a ticket giveaway we've got going on with Rate. Enter Rate's CHGO Summertime Sweepstakes. Rate and CHGO hooking you up with some sweet summer baseball tickets. We got the Friday 120 Club this week. 4 tickets to sit in the bleachers with the CHGO crew on Friday 120 and the 30th here. Score 2 Rate Club tickets to the Cubs Sox Crosstown game. Also, that one's at Wrigley Field coming up in July 26th. Rate Club is all-inclusive food and drinks. Download the Rate app and visit allchgo.com/rate to get signed up today. That's allchgo.com/rate. No purchase necessary.
Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake is kicking off summer with big Memorial Day savings all month long. Come in today to shop the Memorial Day sales event and drive home with 0% financing for 60 months on select new Chevy models. Or check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you're sure to find the perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep the prices competitive, so you know you'll get a great deal. Plus, Ray's price promise lets you shop confidently because a guarantee of no add-ons, no hidden fees, and no gimmicks makes the price you see is the price you pay. You don't have to worry about the price changing, stressful negotiating, or any tricks. The people at Ray Chevrolet just want to help you get into the right vehicle at the right price. So go see for yourself. Visit our partner at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake, and don't miss out on their Memorial Day sales event going on all month long. Just a few days left for 0% financing on select new models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
Let's drive.
So to kind of continue this conversation, I think we all in general agree the starter is probably the most important thing. And they're going to probably need to add some form of a reliever. Like in general, that's what it is. What is it going to be? A Mason Miller? I would not bet on it. I really won't bet on it. And Jed has not shown the most aggressive, like could potentially haunt him type trade that Jed Hoyer has made has only just been for Kyle Tucker. And that's only if they don't extend Kyle Tucker, because I don't know if you guys noticed, Cam Smith is starting to like kind of figure it out with the Astros. He's an above league average hitter. I don't want to talk about that. We got good vibes. We just swept the Rockies. But so the point that I'm making though is that he has made a lot of like pinpointing moves, thinking about the future and not wanting to give up too much just for the present. Now, the Cubs haven't exactly been winning a lot of games outside of this year, and that's probably why.
Yeah.
But you are in position to be in position to do so. Now, all I'm saying is the one player that they would do that do a deal like that where you feel like you're probably down the road, you might regret giving away one or two prospects, is if it's probably for a starting pitcher. I don't know who that starting pitcher is going to be, but I think I'm mentally prepared myself for that. Now, prospects are prospects. Maybe the ones that the Cubs send away for whatever don't turn out to be that good. Gleyber Torres, do I miss Gleyber Torres? No, the Cubs won the World Series, and, he had a couple good years. I think he's a fine player, but I whatever. The Quintana trade didn't end up aging as bad as I think we all felt like it would have, right? But I just think that that's something that we're all going to have to find a way to get comfortable with, because that's what you got to do when you go for it, man. And this team, if they really want to go for it, they're going to need to add a starter. And that's just the bottom line.
Would you rather give up less for just a rental guy for this season? Or would you rather give up more for a guy that you might get for 2 seasons, 3 seasons?
I'd rather give up more to get a guy for more than just a rental. That's me personally, because at least you have him and you can be in your rotation going into next year. And theoretically, you should be in a window of sustained success for, let's just say, 5 years. You should be.
And if there are conversations with Kyle Tucker,
right,
those lead you towards decisions that you may or may not make with some of these prospects. I just know one thing. The Cubs are 14 games over 500, and we're not to June yet. This team's way better than I think most people thought it was going to be right now.
Yeah.
And it just feels good after a bunch of mid-seasons to sit here and actually talk about realistic stuff that should be happening in 2 months.
Yeah. We're not sitting here questioning if we're
I don't
buying or
have the
selling.
reality spray out. It should all be reality.
Not in yet. I think it'll happen in a month. I think end of June is when we can realistically look for a move. That's when Jed said the market will move. Will be late June. And you said a lot of the Cubs top 100 guys, and I just want to point out, like, when they do trade for a starting pitcher, because it's going to happen
if they trade for, before you say that, if they trade for a starting pitcher that's a rental, probably not going to have to move any of your top 100 guys based off how the market has been in recent years.
Exactly.
But if you want a guy that has multiple years of control, or even one more year of control, like that goes through 26, I think you might have to move more.
Jack Flaherty last year went for the Dodgers' number 8 prospect and their number 22 prospect. Alex Cobb, who has been awesome this year for the Giants, another 2-WAR pitcher.
Flaherty was a rental.
Well, they re-signed him too.
But he was at the time he was a rental.
So they gave him a single A prospect who wasn't even ranked in the top 30 yet, or a guy who was not ranked in the top 30, and a single A guy. So you're right. If you're going to go after a young, cost-controlled starting pitcher, you're going to have to give up, a decent player. But we don't normally see especially the last couple of years, we don't normally see the giant blockbuster trades at the deadline where we're giving up multiple top 100 guys. That's a lot of these teams. Like, look, when the Cubs sold guys off, they didn't get a ton of. Was Pete Crow-Armstrong a top 100 guy when they got him?
No, he was a first round pick.
So,
but he was injured at the time.
There's all sorts of moves that they could make, but I want to be clear. I don't think that they'll have to sell the farm for really anybody unless it's the 2 guys we talked about earlier. Who
are
about
both, the competition?
We're both very unlikely.
Yeah. Well, I'm putting out all the scenarios out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Cubs need to go get a number 1 or a number 2 at least type guy like Chris Sale would,
right.
if the Braves continue
Chris
to fall.
Sale.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a guy. He won the Cy Young last year. Now he's 34, so maybe he's not going to cost you. I don't know how much money he's due or any of this, but
I just don't believe it. I just don't believe that with the way baseball is now, and if you can get in, you can make hay, and that's why so many teams are like, oh, I think we could still go for it. We can add when they shouldn't be adding. But the Braves are going to look at the talent on their team and their past history and say, we have Chris Sale. Why would we punt on this season just because we're 5 out in the wild card right now because of their great start? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. If you had to tell me Sale, Skeens, DeGrom, okay, those are 3 huge names that have been mentioned by people. Skeens is the most unlikely for me.
Absolutely.
Sale is next, and I think that DeGrom is the most likely
of the 3
to get traded. If
but
they're out of it,
money.
But he's due the most money. He's also the guy I might want to have the most if he's healthy.
Yeah. Well, you want reality? We talked about him a little bit. Ryan Weathers from the Marlins.
Yeah.
You know
what?
And he's got multiple years of control. The thing is he doesn't have the past success that's going to warrant a ton of prospect capital. Something like that is one that I feel like a lot of casual fans would see and be like, who's this guy? We're supposed to be trying to go win the World Series.
Well, he's not jumping to be your number one guy. Shota's still your number one guy. But now if you bring in Jacob DeGrom or Chris Sale, Shota probably slides down to number 2.
Weathers, the way that the front office would look at it is Weathers has potential to potentially be that guy, emerge as that guy. And that's a lot of what Jed Hoyer and this front office has done. They're trying to project that this guy is going to click with the Cubs in this particular scenario. I'm talking about Ryan Weathers.
And that's if the Marlins want to move him, though. They're in a position where he's under club control for a long time, and they're rebuilding. So
they want to move Sandy Alcantara. I know he has one more year left, and he's been terrible. He was terrible again today. But if they're wanting to move Sandy Alcantara when he's got all these, you still got another year of club control.
Several.
I don't know why they wouldn't be open to moving Ryan Weathers. You know?
Right now, I would be okay if those were the 2 guys they added.
Yeah,
what
it would be buy low.
Now, yeah, sure.
And you wouldn't have to give up a ton for him.
If Alcantara's the number 2 guy you're adding, you're feeling pretty good. I saw our guy Ron in the live YouTube chat here at the new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel, which you should subscribe to and tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a stranger. He said
trade Mo Baller
for Mackenzie Gore.
Done.
I mean, done yesterday. I would have done it in a heartbeat. I would, if they asked for one more, I would do it.
The DeGrom thing's really interesting. DeGrom is making $40 million this year. He's 37. He's going to make $38 million next year, $37 million in 2027. Then he has a club option in 2028. So 3 years of club control, $30+ million for Jacob DeGrom.
But he's been really good.
Yeah. But that puts you over that first luxury tax.
Yeah, but if this team wins 100 games, they better not be worried about the luxury tax.
Yeah. And
they better be worried about trying to beat the Dodgers and the Padres.
I don't disagree. I do not disagree, but I look at it in terms of financial. You know, if you can get, if you want to give up a higher end prospect and have the Rangers eat some money, I don't know. That's an interesting one. Do you really want 39-year-old Jacob DeGrom on the books too in 2 years? I don't know.
I'd like to see him in Game 1 with Shota and Game 2 and Matthew Boyding, and then when Steele comes back the next year.
Yeah.
You know, not till June or July, probably.
He's having a good year, too. DeGrom with the 2.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, he's been awesome.
Well, I just heard Plesac talking about the best pitcher in baseball is Jacob DeGrom.
Yeah.
He says DeGrom's the best pitcher he's ever seen when he's healthy.
Mackenzie Gore, by the way, he's in the first year of arbitration, so he has 2 more years of control. It's going to take more than Mo Baller to get him.
Yep.
And I personally am not into moving Mo Baller. I like Mo Baller. I wish I'd had more context on how the Cubs feel about him as a catcher. I don't think he'll be catching this year, but that doesn't mean I don't think he could be catching next year. He continues to catch in Iowa. And I think we all feel pretty good about his bat. But would I move him for Mackenzie Gore, considering the club control? Yes, I probably would. It would hurt a little bit. But I also I know the Nationals are probably going to sell, but if you go look at the Juan Soto trade that they made, CJ Abrams and James Wood and some of these other guys that they got in that trade, they're right around the corner from being something. And I think they will sell, but why would they want to sell Mackenzie Gore? He was part of that trade too.
Can't pay everybody. I did read an article today that the Nationals, if they do look to sell, they'll listen to offers on pretty much everybody. I don't think they're going to listen to offers on James Wood. That dude is a dude, man.
Yeah,
that
dude is a dude.
It
would just
that dude is a
they'd be
dude.
they'd be like in a cycle of just rebuilding and I don't.
But
I don't.
Mackenzie Gore might want $200+ million, and if the Nationals think that they still have a bunch of holes to fill, maybe. I think everybody's got a price on a losing team, and you pick up the phone and.
If I'm a Nationals fan, I wouldn't understand moving Gore when he still has, a few more years of control. So
I don't know, man.
It's one of those things that depends on how their organization is. It's not like the Nationals have never paid a guy. I know they didn't pay Bryce Harper and they didn't pay Juan Soto. They tried to pay Juan Soto. Yeah. They tried to give Juan Soto $400-some million.
Yeah, and he made $300 more.
Yeah, I mean that's good on them.
Bye.
Right? But I'm just saying,
Get your money up.
It's not like they're the A's or the White Sox who are like, we are going to pay our guys, $50 million over the course of 5 years or some shit. You know what I mean? Like the Nationals are a team that in the past has shown to pay some dudes. So I don't know. I do like Mackenzie Gore though. It would be a great ad if we're going to talk about a young, controllable starter that could be part of the next great Cubs team.
I just know that
this is the next great Cubs team. This is a great team.
Yeah.
I just know that life feels pretty good after scoring 9 runs in 3 games against the lowly Rockies, but still sweeping them.
And winning all 3.
And winning all 3. They didn't play their best baseball, and we're talking about 14 games over 500, and what superstar could they add at the trade deadline?
It's nice to be talking. It's nice to be talking about buying. Like remember my rant I went on before, like our trade deadline show last year in Studio B?
Yeah.
I went on some rant about how it's just ridiculous that we're sitting here talking about selling again. I remember being so miserable. And it is May 29th or 28th. And crossing our fingers, knocking on all the wood, things could change drastically, right? But it is fun to be I'm not hoping, I'm not wishing, I'm not dreaming that we're going to be buyers at the deadline. I think like Luke said, it is a reality. It does feel like the Cubs are going to be buyers, dead on buyers at the deadline. It's fun to be talking about that again.
I'm having much more fun next to a happy Cody as well.
Cubs have won 12 out of 15. The Reds are up next. Don't forget the Friday 120 Club. Don't forget the Cookout Classic. Don't forget the Die Hard deal. Don't forget the merch sale. All the stuff we've got going on here at CHGO. And don't forget to subscribe to the new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel. Corey and Brendan tomorrow.
One more thing.
Kevin and Brendan tomorrow.
Kevin and Brendan tomorrow. Before we get out here, I want to give a shout out to longtime listener Joshua Epstein. His dad passed over the weekend.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And he's come to Friday 120 Club. He was at the one that there was the big rain out. He ended up leaving and didn't even get to watch the game because there was a 2-hour rain delay. Mm-hmm. He came to one last year. But yeah, his dad passed. His dad and him had this big relationship because of the Cubs. And I just want to give him a shout out because he loves our show. He listens to us every day. He interacts with me on Twitter a lot. So,
hang in there. Wishing you well.
And that sucks, man. I don't even really know how else to really say.
Yeah, we're thinking about you, man. Yeah. That's hard. I can't imagine. We're thinking about you, and
we appreciate your support and all that stuff. And I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of people who listen to the show, at Murphy's or on the street sometimes. And I don't take any of that for granted. It's really cool to put faces to people who interact with us and stuff. And he's one of those guys. So, yeah.
Hang in there and look forward to seeing you again later in the year when things are brighter and you're ready to come back to the Friday 120 Club. Until then, tomorrow, Kevin
and Brendan
at the podcast tomorrow.
Kevin and Brendan. Sounds pretty good. I like that.
Kevin and Brendan. I like Kevin and Brendan more than Brendan and Kevin. Yeah. I like it. Yep.
I'm coming for that show title. I'm kidding.
The Kevin and Brendan show will be up tomorrow. Cubs win. Cubs sweep. See you Friday at the 120 Club. Until then, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.